Hi, my name's Mayira, and I'd like to say thank you to Paul for giving me this opportunity to speak at Founders Friday. I was about to attend in March or April just to suss it all out, and of course, lockdown came, and here we are online. So, my talk I've titled as Me Being Myself and What That Brings. I tell you, I am loving life. I find life vivid and colorful and delicious. And that hasn't happened overnight. That's been a work in progress and really accepting me just for who I am. And that includes my flaws as well. And that's the joy, that we accept and like ourselves just the way we are. And this has been about 2.5 years, I'd say, work. And it's an ongoing work in progress. But it's a good place to be. And I'm going to set it in context before I go into, the kind of what service I'm providing and all that kind of thing. I'm going to take you on a journey. So I was born in Kerala, in the southmost point of India. 6 months after I was born, my parents and I came to Jamaica, and we lived there, and I was there for the first 5 years of my life. And I suppose that's probably where I got my liking for a bit of reggae music and sunshine, as you do. And then we came to the UK, and into the depths of winter, which was quite a shock, down south. And that's when I changed schools 4 times between 6 and 10 years old. So I quickly started to learn to adapt to things very quickly. And kind of probably where my social skills developed as well. And then we moved to the northeast of England, where we settled. And by then I had 2 younger brothers as well. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to say that today what I do is I'm a life coach and a speaker. And I'm the founder of Life Coaching by Mayira, empowering you to fulfill your goals. And at the moment, I'm actually coaching women with who are working, 25 to 35-year-old women, and who are searching, who are kind of stuck, I guess, as to what they need to do next. How do they start? Can they do what they would like to do? What's their goal? Into either finding more fulfillment in life, finding their soul purpose, starting a YouTube channel. But they're just a little bit confused. And what that stems from is that lack of self-belief and self-confidence. So I know how it feels because I've been there. And that's where we're at. And I came up with this phrase that when my clients come to me, they are a bit confused. And I call that phrase the unconfusing the muddled mind. But I work with them as a guide, as an enabler, because the answers are all within them, and it's in a positive way that I move them forward. Because as a coach, that's what we do. We look at resourcefulness and the knowledge you already have within you, utilizing that to help you with your next action. And with that helps with building and increasing your self-confidence, self-belief, because it's you who's doing it all. So when my coachees come back to me, or my clients, I call them coachees, when they come back to me, they're like, wow, thank you. I didn't know that I had the answers. But you know, it's because they put in that work as well. Because if I start telling people what to do, it's not going to really sink in. It's like if somebody said to me, go get fit because you need to. Unless I really want to, that's not going to happen. And I also have a background in education for 20 years. And what I'm going to talk you through is how that all combines into where I'm at as well. So going back to settling in the UK and up in the Northeast, I started going to school again, and I soon found out that I loved languages, and I loved drama, and English was really good as well for me. You know, it was naturally, I liked all these subjects. And I was thinking, yeah, maybe I could do something in theatre or TV presenting. I quite like the idea of all that. And in between those school years of my teenage years, I was also, you know, lucky enough to go to India in the summer holidays, go back and kind of cement relationships with my extended family and community out there. And so I speak Malayalam, the dialect, but I don't read and write it. And yeah, it was fine. But what I was finding was when I was out there, you could say it's part of the culture, it's all said in tongue in cheek, you know, but when I would go, it would be like, and I'm growing, you know, older and older, and they would be like, well, maybe, you know, you're not tall enough, or you're not slim enough, or you're not fair enough. So, you know, what are the chances, you know, who's going to marry you and all this kind of thing. But it was lighthearted, but when I hear it, kind of gets into my subconscious. So yes, I love the culture, and then I was battling with, who am I? Am I Indian? Am I English? Where do I fit in? Because my parents were bringing me up as if they were back in India, I guess, and it's like a time warp you're caught up in. So I had that kind of going on. And also, this teacher in my school, speech and drama teacher, she said to me, I don't think theatre is for people like you, or, you know, the arts and that kind of job role within that media sector, I guess. And she was implying the color of my skin. And of course, the teacher knows best, I guess. I mean, that's what you put them in good esteem, and you think, right, okay, they know what they're talking about. And she's been in this country a lot longer than I have. So I kind of just put that to the back of my mind, and then I thought, well, okay, so what does an Asian girl do? What actually is a good job prospect for her? And also within the community, I'm, you know, all my peers, I guess, within that community were doing incredibly well academically, you know, and they were all thinking of being a doctor or a dentist or engineering and accountancy. And I was like, gosh, maybe I should do that. So I did sciences. Well, my love was French and English and drama. So I didn't do very well. And anyway, to cut a long story short, I fell into doing my PGCE, so my postgrad in education. And I'm so glad I did, because what I've really understood is we all want to be heard, seen, and acknowledged as just for who we are. Because what I felt and what I now know in my experience that disempowerment through both channels, you know, through the school and through that community, that notion that I'm living through other people's expectations and not through my own, that stifled my growth within me from blossoming into someone that I am even today. Because I was like, no, I'm not doing what I should be doing. So as I'm teaching, I'm in my teaching placement, and in my final teaching placement, I see a note, and I'm teaching a year 5-6 class, and it's an open plan classroom, and I'm in week 3 of probably my 8-week placement, and there's a lovely little note. I say lovely because I know what's in it now, but I walk in and it's sat on the stool in my classroom, and I open it up, and it's from a little girl who's in the class, and she's 8 years old. She sits and does her work, no problems, you know, she's quite quiet and lovely, brown mousy bobbed hair, and that's her. And the note she'd written to me was, "Dear Miss Thomas, I wouldn't have been this confident if it wasn't for you." And that still chokes me. That's like, oh my gosh, but I thought I was just doing my job. So what I was actually creating in my classrooms was that every voice should be heard, or at least everyone should be acknowledged when they do something that's really lovely. And it doesn't have to be anything great. They can just give me an answer because they're worthy of that. And then later on, as a careers advisor, I work with teenagers from years 9 to 13. Years 9, to 13. And actually, when a year 9 student came to me and said, "Oh my gosh, Miss, you've just changed my life." I'm like, "Sorry, what do you mean?" And she's like, "I've never spoken to anyone like I have to you, and I kind of know how and where I want to go now." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's wonderful." And actually, she loves stand-up comics, and she follows them quite a bit. And you know, we got on talking, and you know, being a children's entertainer, either on TV or whatever, and she was just lit up because we discussed things that were right for her. And then later on, there was a teenager, an A-level student, whose parents said to me, "Please, can you see this teenager? Because please, can you see my daughter? Because she's about to drop out of her A-levels, and oh my goodness, she's so bright, and I don't think she needs to be doing that at all. Please help." So I had a session with this young lady. We talked, and I listened, and I questioned, you know. And in the end, she decided she's going to go to college, complete her business course. And she did drop out of doing her A-levels. She was very unhappy. And then within that next year, she said to me, "Do you know what? It was the best decision I ever made." She said, "I needed to step out of my comfort zone. And because of that, I'm doing what I love. And I'm so glad I did it." So it doesn't matter. It's not about how academic or how bright somebody is. It's about following what's best for them. And that's what will bring them more happiness and more joy, and actually help them to continue on their path and face challenges that much better, because they're actually doing what their heart's desiring. And so I guess what I bring now to the table is, in my life coaching, when we don't, this is in my opinion, but when we don't actually tackle those disempowering moments, and we don't work on ourselves, it lowers our self-belief, and it makes us love ourselves less. because we're not on the right path as to where we should truly be aligned to. And so that's where I see in my clients. I know because I was there. I was very confused. I didn't know where I was going or what I was doing. I knew that I love people. They intrigue me. Everybody has a story, and it doesn't matter if you're 3 or 33 or 103. To me, everybody, I'm curious, and I love that. And I learn. Children, young people, adults, they inspire me because I can always see something from a different point of view. So when my clients come to me, it's just through that. I listen, but I also use questioning techniques, and I also use strategies and tools, but bespoke to each individual, because everybody is unique. And, you know, there are points that I will ask them, like, what are the things that you can control in life? Because I know for this talk, as long as I can prepare for the talk and do the talk, that's the things I can control. How it's received, I cannot control. You know, what people are going to think of it, I don't know. And you can't please everybody. You know, that's not how the world works. So those are the kind of points that we kind of make. You know, I'm just touching the surface here, but it's just to give you an idea. And I see potential in everyone I meet. I just see the being in front of me. But when the magic happens is when they see it for themselves. And that's where I'm at now. So for me, it's about gratitude. So I do some journaling about the things in my life. So this started in 2018 because I was searching for my soul purpose. So what am I doing on this earth, and how can I make an impact, a meaningful impact for others? And so I started meditating, and now I do Kundalini yoga practices as well. And I do that a little bit more of self-reflection and quiet time, because that's when you can hear what your soul and your heart actually whispers, because we need to give space and time for that. So you set aside a little bit of time for yourself and self-care and speaking kinder to myself, because that's where you're building that muscle, you're building that practice. So habitually things can change for us, but how much do we really want them to change? But what works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else. So we have to find what practices and what routines work for you, and what can you bring into your life and your lifestyle that's beneficial for you. So I'm going to suggest as well, just invite you to ask yourselves this in your day-to-day work or your business. Are you doing what you love and loving what you do? So we can all be good at things, but are we doing what we really love and doing what we love and loving what we do? So Alan Sugar says, you know, once he did say that only 5% of the UK population are actually following their heart's desire and doing what they really, really love. And Holly Tucker, now she's the founder of Not on the High Street, and I totally resonated with what she said. And she says that the future, actually, small businesses are going to be the source and game changers more than government in the future. And she says that's because a lot of leaders, and they are now influencers because they're putting themselves and showing up. And that vulnerability they show up is what is going to work for a lot of people around them. So it's actually when we show up, because change always starts just with ourselves. That's what I'm finding now. And if we show up with the right energy as right for us, and if we show up in the world the way we wish to, then that's when we begin to see a ripple effect. So for me, I have opportunities coming now to me. I mean, there's some exciting things, but I can't really say too much about. But that's because I have so now begun just being me. And, and that's where I'm going to leave my talk. But I really hope that if you feel you want to chat to me about any of this anymore, or you would like to contact me, I do offer a free first session, like 45-minute session, just to talk and see where we can go from there. My contact details will be in the comments. It's life coaching by Mayira, and I do have a Facebook page, which I'll leave there. So thank you for listening, and just be inspired to be you. Thank you.